Okay, I guess we're on. Okay, folks. So, welcome everybody from Abu Dhabi, I presume, mostly. We're going to talk about steps to increasing our level of consciousness. So, what happened is I put together over 3 decades, actually, a series of courses which will help you determine your own path to consciousness. Now, these courses, I'll give you the names of these courses and we'll talk about it. Today is just a seminar. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but please chat with me and interact with me if you can. So, the goal and the purpose of these courses is to get you to go on this path to consciousness or higher levels of consciousness, this path to spirituality, practical spirituality. Okay? So, hi Tuba, how are you? So, without any further ado, let me start. And please, you can interrupt me anytime you want and chat with me. Okay? So, in these courses, you're going to learn how to connect with your higher self. In these courses, you might know some things and might not. Remember, we're all students and all teachers. All of us, you'll teach me, I'll teach you, we'll teach each other. The fundamental purpose of this is to get you aligned with your values and to get you to ponder and become more present, capital P. Okay, so these courses are packed with universal spiritual truths. They're packed with concepts and techniques, very practical. I do challenge you. If you decide to take the challenge, you will have an SDG, a sacred daily goal. There will be some readings, a little bit of homework, not too much, but you'll have a sacred practice to perform or to do. And doing is being experienced. So you will have a little bit to do and be on a daily basis. Having said that, the first course will be on light workers. I'm not going to define light workers, but the course, I think the name of it is Light Worker Series. Hi, Marianne. Light Worker Series. And yesterday I had a seminar on Zoom as well. And there's this woman that started talking to me and her name was Deep. Her name was Deep, D-E-P. And I said, Deep or D? She said, no, Deep as a deep sea diver. And that reminded me of a story which is connected to the Lightworker series, which is going to be the first course that I'm going to give. So there's a story about a courageous deep sea diver. She dives again and again to seek and search for this rare pearl that nobody has seen. And they keep talking about this rare pearl that nobody has seen. Everybody is talking about it. And she is determined, no matter what, to find this pearl. So she explores, she dives every day. Day by day, she dives, risking her life, dangerously living and diving. Despite all the perils, she keeps on diving and searching and seeking and exploring. Day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. And people are talking about this pearl that nobody ever saw before. And guess what? In the process, she becomes this rare pearl. There is no such thing. They find out that she has created this rare pearl by experiencing duality, by seeking and searching, by working on herself. So this is the challenge, if you want to take it up, that I'm offering you. The challenge is to work on yourselves to create a new consciousness on planet Earth. That is the challenge. It's not about transforming the dark into the light. It's not about that. It's about embracing duality, the negative and the positive, the dark and the light. It's about embracing it, transcending it, and creating a new consciousness. That's what it's all about. That's the challenge that I'm asking you to take, if you're ready, of course. Okay, so the first course will be on light workers. Light workers are a courageous bunch. I'll get into it more in detail in the course, but we are here to create or co-create, if you want to. If you consider yourself a particle of God, then we're creating. If not, then we're co-creating with God, okay, or with the divine or with the spiritual. Now, in the Light Worker series, what we're going to do is to basically, excuse me, explore that divine self. And they're all interrelated. All the courses are interrelated. Okay, so the Light Worker series is how we can create a new consciousness on this planet called Earth. Think about it, there's a lot to come. The second course is going to be how to connect with your divine self, which is related to the light series. Now, I'd like you to imagine a light bulb, and inside that light bulb you have filaments. So the light bulb, let's say, is your body, and the filaments in the light bulb is your soul. And then the electricity, the current that comes in the light bulb and in the currents is your spirit. So you have the body, the soul, and the spirit. Now, depending on which school you're following, some people intermingle soul with spirit. I'm not doing that. Here, what I'm doing is I'm saying you have the light bulb, you have the soul inside the light bulb, and then you have the current, the spirit that fills in those filaments in the light bulb. Well, sometimes you have a current that's not very strong, like in Lebanon, where I am based right now. Sometimes the current is 110 or 220, whatever the current is. This is something we're going to talk about. Once you learn how to connect, and I show you, it's not that hard. It just requires a little bit of discipline and commitment and practice. Once you connect with your higher self or full potential self or divine self or whatever you want to call it, or your particle, your divine particle, or your God particle, once you connect with that, then we can deepen that connection. The connection might be 10, 20%. Let's say the light is very low. And then as you deepen that connection, the light of the light bulb shines brighter and brighter. It goes from 10, 20% to 50% to 70% to 80%, and then maybe 100% if you're completely one with all that is, or God, or whatever name you choose. Now that's a course that requires some discipline, which will change your view on life, because the fact is we are spiritual beings first and foremost, living an earthly experience, correct? So we're living an earthly experience to remember, remember who we are and manifest our divinity in this duality here, right here and now. Now, if you're following me, let me know. Keep chatting with me, because I can't see you, so I don't know how old you are. You might be 20 years old or 70 years old or 50. I don't know how far along you are on this path, if you've been doing this for a long time, if you're new to this. So I need to see how deep I want to go into this subject. So far so good. Al-Amin, Ahla wa Sahla, 26. Okay, Valentina, 32, nice to meet you. RA, 32, 30, 45, 39 and a half, I like that. Rula, Ahla wa Sahla. Sonia, you're here, okay, good. Okay, Carrie, is it Carrie or is it, yeah, 36. Well, great, now I have an idea. I wish I could see you, but maybe some other time. All right. Yes, 36. Okay, great. Okay, I have been into spirituality. I was like 15. Great, great, great. Okay, I have a better idea. Thank you. Great. Anna Maria, 45. Okie doke. Sounds good. So you're with me so far, I presume. Too young to share my age. That's a good one, Sonia. All right. So how to connect with your divine self. I said in a previous video that it might be somewhat of a challenge to stay connected 100% all the time. Let's remember that we are human beings living a human experience as well. Okay, so RA is asking me what's the difference between our soul and our spirit? Well, like I said, let's say you have a light bulb. Okay, the filaments inside the light bulb, if you look at the light bulb, they're filaments. That's the soul, okay? And the spirit is common to everybody. The spirit of God, the consciousness, pure love, creative consciousness, God, all that is, that's the current, or that's the electricity that comes into your soul and fills up the light bulb and makes you shine, okay? All right. So we will learn how to do that. It doesn't have to be difficult, but it can be challenging. If you do not have enough commitment and discipline, not much is going to happen. So again, this is a challenge because these are challenging times. As you know, these are very challenging times. But not to worry, because I think that we're going to be in good shape. I think that the light has already won, like they say. But it's not about transforming the dark into the light, by the way. It's not about that. We're still going to have duality on earth, but here we're going to create a new consciousness, hopefully a more loving consciousness. Okay, I'm not the only person working on this, of course. There are many people in the world saying it in different ways. Okay, Cynthia, nice to meet you. And it's just one way. All paths lead to Rome. In these series of courses, you're going to learn to create your own path, but there's got to be a basis and a foundation. This is what I'm offering you in these 10 courses, okay? So any questions, please ask. All right. The third course we're going to go and delve into is happiness and synchronicity. Now,
Mark, did you say you have 10 courses?
Yes, a series of 10 courses, yes.
Because I grasp only 2 of them. Light Worker series and how to connect with the divine self.
Yeah, this is the third one, which is called happiness and synchronicity. So I'm going to give them to you gradually. Okay?
And I would like to know how it would benefit me as a light worker. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, again, as I've been saying, you know, we're here to create a new consciousness, okay? So, yeah, happiness and synchronicity. So we're here to create a new consciousness, not to transform all the dark into the light. No, that's not the case. We're always going to be living in duality, okay? So as the light worker that you are, what you're going to do is work on yourself and become more connected to your inner healer, to your higher self, to your full potential self, to your divine particle. That's why I gave the metaphor of the light bulb shining bright, or not shining that bright, depending on the current that's coming into the filaments, into the light bulb, okay? That's what I said earlier. So it will help you in many ways, and also you'll pick up some techniques and concepts, healing techniques, how to shift energies, how to become present, capital P, etc., etc. So let me go to the third course and talk a little about that one, which is happiness and synchronicities. So again, I was saying that happiness, some people think that it's 50% genetic. Well, maybe it is. Who am I to say it's not? I'm not saying it's not, but what I am saying, if that is the case, then we will transform the DNA. Okay, yes. The DNA can be changed, believe it or not. So increase your level of happiness and quiet inner joy is the purpose in this course, okay? Now, we'll talk a little bit about that. And by the way, there's a story on happiness, and this little boy asks his father, Father, what's happiness? How can I find happiness? So the father looks at his son and says, okay, son, come with me. Let's go to the village and let's bring our donkey. I'm going to get on the donkey's back, and then you, my son, are going to walk next to us as we go into the village. So the father gets on the donkey's back, and they walk into the village. And then all the villagers are saying, look at this egotistical father. He makes his son walk in the sun while he's comfortable on the donkey's back. So the father looks at his son. You hear that, son? How they're criticizing us? The son says, yeah, Dad. He says, okay, well, let's go back home. So they go back home. The next day, the father says to his son, okay, son, today you are going to ride on the donkey's back and I'm going to walk next to you. Because yesterday they were criticizing me about me being comfortable on the donkey's back. Today you're going to go on the donkey's back and I'll walk next to you. So they go to the village, and once they get into the village, the villagers are all saying, look at this son, what a spoiled little brat. His father's walking in the sun. He's an old man and the son's comfortable on the donkey's back. So the father looks at his son and says, do you hear that, son? The son says, yeah. Well, let's go back home. So they go back. And then the next morning, the father says, look, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to both get on the donkey's back and go to the village. Let's see what happens. So they get on the donkey's back, they go to the village, and the villagers see that scene and say, look at that, like unbelievable. Look at that poor donkey. He has two people on his back and they're not giving him water and it's hot. This is animal cruelty. What are they doing? So the father looks back at his son and says, you hear that, son? The son says, yes. So they go back home. And again, the next day they get up and the father says, you know what, son? We're going to walk today. And we're going to have the donkey walk behind us and we're going to go to the village. All right, so they walk and the donkey's walking behind them. They go to the village and the villagers are saying, look at those idiots. They have a donkey and they're walking instead of getting on the donkey. Moral of the story is, if you want to be happy, just do what makes you happy by living by your values. That's the moral. The moral of the story is, do what feels right, be clear on your values, and live by them and you'll be happy. Now, the point is, most people, believe it or not, and I know you're going to probably say, no, most of us are not very clear on our values. Okay? There's an old, well, I shouldn't say old, he's not old, but there's a famous trainer, what was his name? The personal development trainer, Anthony Robbins. He influenced me many, many years ago, over 30 years ago. And he asked a question once in a conference and he said, I think it was something to this effect. If you could save, let's say, Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Lebanon from war and devastation by killing this person, would you kill that person? So a lot of people answered in many ways, but I want you to think about it. If I tell you, kill this person, and by killing this person, you will save the country of Lebanon, or you will save whatever, what do you say? Let me see some chatting here. If somebody tells you, I want you to eat the...
Yeah? I would want to hear the full story before going forward to kill the man or no.
What full story?
So why would that need to be the decision that have to be made?
Okay, well, in Lebanon, as you know, we went through a war in Lebanon, correct?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so let's suppose, which this actually came up once in politics, but I'm not going to go into that because I'm not into politics. But a lot of people believe that if they killed one man, they would save Lebanon from war. That was many years ago. Some people are still saying that today, but I'm not going to go into that. So my question is, this is the story. If you kill this man, you're going to save the country of Lebanon from a civil war, correct? What do you do? Mona is saying, I'll not take that karma on myself. Another one will replace. Anna Maria, okay, fine. I will not because the idea lives on. Okay, makes sense. Well, you know, who is that man, you know, for one? Is that man Christ? Is it a Nabi Muhammad? Is it Buddha? You know, there are many things to consider, but this is the point. If you connect to your higher self, you will get the answer that is appropriate in this situation. Okay. So by the way, Carrie, karma is not necessarily a punishment. Okay. So you can clear karma. You don't have to, let's say in one lifetime you killed somebody. You don't have to be, you know, the victim in this lifetime to learn that lesson. There are other ways of learning the lesson and clearing karma. But I understand what you're saying. I'm just getting you to think, that's all, okay? So that's about the third course, happiness and synchronicities. There are no such things as coincidences. Coincidences do not exist. We attract it, whether it's you're attracting it or the collective consciousness is attracting it. It's happening for a reason that serves you, no matter what, whether you believe it or not. You know, this is my truth. I don't impose any, you know, truths on anybody, but and most light workers will agree that we are, you know, creating our lives to remember with God, become a member, to remember who we are and manifest our divinity here and now. All right. How can you change yourself in order to change a pattern? Oh, Valentina, that's easy. That's, you know, in hypnotherapy, they do that easily in order to change a pattern. Patterns and limiting beliefs and limited emotions can be changed pretty fast, pretty rapidly nowadays. It depends on how deep you go into a non-ordinary state or into a state of heightened suggestibility. We'll work on that. We'll come back, not necessarily killing it, might be another way of suffering. Well, again, in my opinion, if your consciousness is very low, you're going to go through a lot of pain to learn to go to a higher consciousness. As your consciousness grows, I believe that it becomes less and less painful, becomes easier and easier. Okay? So, happiness and synchronicities, as I was saying, synchronicities happen and you'll learn how to attract synchronicities. Do you know what a synchronicity is? It's the high probability of something that happens. It's a coincidence. For example, I'm thinking about my friend who I haven't talked to in years, 20 years, and all of a sudden he calls me out of the blue. It's a synchronicity. Carl Gustav Jung, the famous psychiatrist, you know, thought about that. Sorry, did not think about it, but he lived it, experienced that many times in his life, talked about it a little bit. I don't know if you know that he's a famous psychiatrist. Oh, you're in your 30s, so that you definitely know. All right, so we'll talk about that. That's the third course, okay? What is it in Arabic? What is in Arabic? What do you mean, what is in Arabic? Ah, synchronicities. Oof. بالعربي حظوظ عالية كتير. حظوظ عالية كتير إنه ما تصير وبتصير. Okay, meaning of that word. Yeah. ما بعرف بالعربي على المظبوط بس إنه حظوظ كتير إنه ما تصير وهي بتصير. Okay, so we'll talk more about that. صدف لا مش صدف. الصدف coincidence. هي مش صدفة. قد ما بتصير دايما دايما ودايما. Sorry, I'm speaking Arabic. It becomes something that you're attracting, or some people say it's luck. Okay. Maybe, yeah, that, I don't know how to say it exactly in Arabic, but you understand. When things are connected, yes. They're so connected that, you know, just great things happen most of the time. All right. So another course would be from ego to heart-based consciousness. Okay. So from ego to heart-based consciousness is basically freeing yourself from an unbalanced ego, becoming free. الحرية. Okay. Okay, Rula. So here I'm talking about freedom. What is freedom? If you have an addiction or an attachment or fear, anger, guilt, stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom is controlling you, you're not free. Ego بالعربي نفس. Nafs. Okay?
Mark, the reason that I'm asking is because different modalities express ego in a different way.
Very true. So I'm not talking about the Freudian ego. I'm talking about the ego that lives on fear, basically. Either you're living in fear or you're living in love. Okay, so the ego, for example, is somebody who is really imbued with himself. Ana. Everything's me, 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 me. Or the opposite, somebody who has a very low self-esteem and is always, making an effort for people to like him, or making an effort for that, he needs attention, control, security, oneness, uniqueness, all these attachments. So you can have an ego that's too low or too weak, and you can have an ego that's too high. Okay, so it's about balancing your ego and knowing who you are. So people who have a good, healthy ego is not a bad thing. There's no such thing as bad and good anyway, because we're transcending duality. But in the way we understand it, you want a balanced ego. Does that make more sense? Yeah, the fake self. Yeah, if you want the fake self, or yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Again, ego with Freud is different than ego from Carl Gustav Jung. So, what you want to do is be balanced. Let's talk about balance. Okay? Yeah. I don't know why you thought I was from Spain. Do I look Spanish? All right. Actually, my father's Lebanese, my mother's American. I lived in the States. I live in all over the place. So I'm suffering from an identity crisis. And nowadays, I don't know where I'm living anymore. I'm living in other dimensions. How can we balance the ego in order to get and offer the best of you? Well, this is the whole point, Valentina, of the whole courses, of the 10 courses that I'm going to give pretty soon. All right? So freedom. Freedom is important. I'm not talking about freedom doing what you want necessarily, but freedom in the sense that we're not being controlled by an emotion. A lot of people nowadays are being controlled by fear or anxiety, which is the cousin of fear of the corona, or fear of dying. Again, dying is nothing, it's just a transition. I know for sure, because of the many psycho-spiritual deaths and rebirths I've had in shamanism and in breath work and with plant medicine, that I'm pretty sure that there's something lovely after death. So, but that's just my opinion, and my knowing, because I've lived it so many times. So maybe you have as well. How do I know which course is the right one for me? Well, it's a whole series of courses. Just take the 10 courses. The course is 2 hours. It's not a whole day long course, but we will link all the courses together. From there, you will probably put something together just for you, if this is what you want, if you take up the challenge, so to speak. Okay. So others' emotion, our emotions. Okay, Mariam is asking, well, first you need to, when somebody has an emotion and you react, that's because that emotion is inside of you, right? It's it's a mirror. So let's say I get upset at somebody and the other person gets upset because I get upset. They're reacting. It's a projection. It's because they have a lot of anger in them that they get angry. Some other people, it doesn't touch them. They're unperturbable, like they say. So, a young man asks a sage. I'm talking about still freedom. A young man asks a wise sage, how do I find freedom? So the wise man looks at this young man and says, see that cemetery over there? I want you to go and spit on their graves and cuss them. all those dead people. Go over there, spit on their graves and cuss them out, and when you're done, come back. So the guy is completely flabbergasted and says, okay, wise man, I'll go do that. So he goes to the cemeteries, spits on every grave and cusses them out for an hour. And then he comes back to the sage and says, okay. And the sage asks the man, the young man, did anybody reply back? Did anybody say anything? He says, no. So the wise man says, okay, now I want you to go over there to those graves in that cemetery, and I want you to praise them and sing to them as if they were saints, all of them. So he goes there and he, praises them and says very nice things and how great they were when they were living, and sings to them for an hour. Then he comes back and the sage looks at him and says, did anybody reply? And the young man says, no. So the sage tells him, well, if you want to be free, act like the dead do when somebody criticizes you, judges you, or praises you. That's the moral of the story. In other words, be unperturbable. Nothing, هزك يا جبل, شو هيدي بالعربي? Nothing perturbs you. You have such inner quiet joy and peace that nothing touches you. Well, it's possible. I've been working on myself for decades, and I'm coming from far. And when I say far, I mean far. And I found this inner peace. It doesn't mean that I don't get upset sometimes. No, but I have inner peace. It took me a while, a couple of decades. Ya Jabal ma yahzak rih, mazboot. Thanks, Yarullah. Killik zo. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks. Mazboot. Ya Jabal ma yahzak rih. Yeah, so be unperturbable. That's the course. In that course, we're going to talk about how we go from the ego-based consciousness to the heart-based consciousness. All right? Any questions? All right.
Can you say that word again?
Which one?
Be unpredictable?
Unperturbable, unshaken.
Unshaken, okay.
Unshaken. Shaken but not stirred. No, that's James Bond. That's something. Not shaken, nothing shakes me, nothing perturbs me, nothing bothers me. That's what I mean. Okay? All right. So the fifth course is going to be entitled, or is entitled, The Power of Your Own Consciousness. The power of your own consciousness. You see, everything we're creating depends on your consciousness. Your inner world will create your outer world. These are laws, spiritual laws that have been around for thousands of years, but now it's all out in the open. Before they used to be secrets. Now it's no longer a secret. Now it's for everybody to explore and live. So here I have a book. If you want to go on my website, Marc, M-A-R-C, M-A-L-L-A-T, Marc Malat, M-A-R-C, M-A-L-L-A-T. You can download my book for free and read the third section. Don't bother with the first and second if you don't want to. But the third section is very short, and you can download my book for free on my website. Okay? And then the book is called Focused, Fearless, and Aware. Because fearless is very important, because you're either in fear or in love. Okay, focus is extremely important, because what you focus on will become bigger. You will attract. And of course, awareness is everything. Consciousness, awareness. So go ahead and download that book if you want to. Focus, Fearless, and Aware. Okay. Now it's also about letting go. Letting go is probably the most important thing you can do in your spiritual lives. To let go of the excess fear, anger, guilt, stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom. To let go of the need for attention, for control, for security, for oneness, to let go of playing the victim. How many people are playing the victim, you know? Even though some are victims, I still encourage you to stop playing the victim, you know? So letting go is extremely important. It's probably the most spiritual thing you can do, letting go. There are 2-month possibilities to have courses in face-to-face, all of them online. Well, I will be coming, Mariam, to Abu Dhabi as soon as I can. Whenever they open up the airport, I will do that. So let me write here my website real fast so people are asking. Okay, so that's my website. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, that's my website. You can download the book and check out the website. Give me some feedback if you will. So about letting go, these 2 monks, an old monk and a young monk are...
Sorry, Mark, I think you shared it privately.
You know what? I really don't know how to do this. I'm terrible with this, but let me try and do it better. Okay.
It's to select to everyone.
Yeah. Let me see if I can change this real fast. Hold on.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let me give it to you. Maybe I have a problem with my computer. I'm not sure, but let me give it to you orally here. It's Marc, M-A-R-C, M-A-R-C, M-A-L-L-A-T. Okay, thanks, Hadid. Thank you, Hadid. Yeah. So what was I saying? I was talking about letting go. The power of letting go, very important, letting go. Letting go of the excess baggage, letting go of the excess fear, anger, guilt, of all those emotions, letting go of the attachments, the smoking, letting go of the addictions, whatever addictions. We have an addiction problem here in Lebanon, by the way. A lot of the young generations are into psychedelics, and of course they're not using it properly in the right mindset and setting, so they catch entities, libis bil Arabi. They catch entities and stuff, so they need to be cleared and cleaned spiritually. Am I going too far here? Is this scaring you? Or is that normal? Anyway, there's
fine for some of us.
Okay, sorry?
I said, I guess it's fine for some of us.
Yeah, I guess it is so. Possessions. Well, I'm just saying we all have demons attached to us. Thank you. To some degree. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point, to some degree. But some of them you actually create by your thinking. You become what you think about most of the time. So if you're always angry, you know, you're going to create that little entity of anger. You're going to react all the time. Okay. Also, some people do not have very good spiritual hygiene, so they attract some stuff. I'm not going to go into this because this is shamanism. That's probably not... I'm giving that course in a couple of days, by the way. Where am I giving it? Either Dubai or Abu Dhabi. I really don't remember. But, you know, if you want to get into that, just let me know. If I get into that, I'll never stop talking. So we have maybe 20 more minutes. So let me finish with this. So letting go, these 2 monks, an old monk and a young monk, want to cross the river. And the river current is very strong. How can you have a good spiritual hygiene? Well, Valentina, that's what I'm saying. Take the courses and I'll go into it deeply. I'll show you how to protect. I'll show you how to shift energies. I love shamanism. Well, great. Join me then in the course. It's happening on the 19th and 20th. Take the shamanism course. I highly recommend. Thanks, Sonia. By the way, Sonia took level 1 and 2. Thanks. So these 2 monks want to cross the river, and the river's current is very, very strong. Exactly. And this lady, this beautiful lady, wants to cross the river as well, but she doesn't dare. So the old monk looks at the young monk, looks at the lady, and tells the lady to get on his back, and then they cross the river. So the young lady is on the old monk's back, and the young monk is also crossing the river. They get to the river, the young lady gets off, thank you, and leaves. But to the complete shock of the young monk, because it's not in their rules to do this, and he's completely shocked. He doesn't know what to say. he remains silent as they're going back to the monastery. Yeah, I really encourage you to do that, RA. So he's not talking to the old monk who did something that's really, really out of the ordinary and shameful to his opinion. So finally they get to the monastery and the young monk says to the old monk, you know, I'm so ashamed of you. How could you do that? This is not our ways. These are not our ways. And the old monk looks at the young monk and says, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, you're talking about the old lady, the beautiful lady. Well, you know, she got off my back hours ago, but it seems like she's still riding on your back. So the moral of the story is let go. You know, the shamans in Peru, I work with shamans, I teach shamanism, I work with sacred plants. You don't have to be a shaman. You don't have to take sacred plants to work with shamanism. And you don't have to be a shaman, you can be a shamanic practitioner, in parenthesis. The point is the shamans make fun of us in the West here, or in the Middle East, because they tell me, what is wrong with you people? I'll talk about that, Valentina, give me a second. So the shamans say, what's wrong with you people? We ask you to let go of fear and anger and you don't know how to do that. Are you sick? They think we're sick because we cannot let go of fear, anger, and guilt. For them, they grew up that way. So we actually hold on so tightly to fear, anger, and guilt, and we identify ourselves with it, that we start hurting ourselves. Letting go, very important, my friends. By the way, letting go and letting God is the same. Once you let go, you're guided even more, because we're all guided, right? So, Valentina, is it dangerous, the course, for the sensitive people? I mean, I can pick up easy some energies. Well, that's why you have to take the course, Valentina, so you can protect yourself. Are you an empath? I think integration is a way for me instead of letting go. Well, you have to let go and then integrate, right? So the point is, you need to protect yourself, Valentina. I go into a shop or I go into a restaurant and I don't like the vibes, I leave. Let go of what? Let go of fear, anger, guilt, stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom, the need for controls, security, oneness, uniqueness, you know, the need to play the victim or the bunch of stuff. Letting go of whatever doesn't serve you anymore, okay? There's a lot of that, trust me. What is the link between light workers and shamans? Shamans are light workers, okay? Now you have 3 levels of shamans. You have the shamans that are sorcerers, you have the shamans that are healers, and you have the shamans that are ascended masters, you know, working with high consciousness levels. So this is our goal. If you take up the challenge, it's up to you. All right. So that's 5. The 6th course is work, money, and relationships. So work, money, and money is important, yes. If you're spiritual, that does not mean you cannot make a lot of money. If you make more money, you're gonna use it for good. Why not? You know, money is good, you know? So we keep saying money does not grow on trees, but it actually does. It's paper, for one. And we have all these limiting beliefs about money and about work and relationships. Let me tell you real fast what most people regret the most when they're dying. Statistically, there's a book. Don't ask me about the book because I can't remember the name. You know, the book I read a long time ago said that people who are dying regret the most, not spending more time with their friends and having better relationships. They never regret working more. Yeah, Mona, stay with me on that one. Just a second. So they never regret working more. They never regret making more money or less money. It's not about money. It's about work and relationships. So people regret the most not being closer to their friends, not keeping in touch with their friends, and some of them regret not having work that they're passionate about. All right? So Mona, letting go is like trying to taste your own tongue. It's difficult, right? But as you practice, the more you practice, all of a sudden you're gonna feel a grace come upon you. The grace of God, the grace of spirits or your guides, and then you'll be able to let go. Now that is the most important work, is to let, you cannot, taste the tongue, but the more you practice, higher belief systems, and you will actually let go. Some people let go very easily. They're just born with that capacity. Some people forgive very easily. Some people never forgive. Forgiveness is extremely important because it's proportionate to your mental health. Your capacity to forgive is proportionate to your mental health. So letting go is part of it. I understand when I've been there. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've come from far. All right, so I do know how to guide students, and I do know where their is usually lie. And the biggest weakness is in letting go. Thanks, Mana, for that. I agree with you. Any tips? Well, yeah, tips. Meditation will help you let go. Breath work, shamanism will help you let go on their journeys. Ayahuasca, San Pedro Vilca, sacred plants in Peru. You know, there's so many things, so many ways. Dancing will help you let go. I mean, I can go on and on their lists and lists. So the seventh course is called the Cosmic Game. In the Cosmic Game, you're going to remember who you are, a spiritual being. You're going to understand the cosmos and the nature of who you are. Yeah, Tuba, just wait a little bit. So the Cosmic Game is going to help you through transpersonal experiences, which is another course. Through the spiritual experiences, it's going to help you see the world in a bigger way. It's going to help you get rid of that fear of dying. All right? Right. And another course, transpersonal experience. Transpersonal means spiritual. So let's say you have a duality. You have all sorts of, experiences that are spiritual. They've been talking about it for centuries and centuries. The mystics have in the East. And now quantum physics is actually explaining a little bit of it. But in the third section of my book, I talk a lot about that. You can check it out. I really recommend you download it. It's for free. Everything that's free is usually good. Well, I'm joking, but I do encourage you to download the book and read the third section. Okay. Once you find out who you really are, a spiritual being first and foremost, and you know it in your heart, not in your head, not in the egoic mind, but in your heart, you let go, like we were talking about. Cosmic Game, yeah. The Cosmic Game is based on a book by one of my teachers, Stanislav Grof. He has many books. I recommend you read as many as you can. Stan Grof, G-R-O-F, Stan Grof. They taught me breath work. I called it dimensional breath work. You might like it. It's intense. If you like intensity, it can be cool and easy, but it's usually intense. And I do offer opportunities. Check out the website. So number 9 is living from the heart. Living from the heart as opposed to living in the ego, living in the heart, which basically means you're too peaceful for unnecessary fear, anger, and guilt. That's your real nature. That's your divine self. You're too peaceful for fear, anger, and guilt, for unnecessary fear, anger, and guilt. You're too strong for unnecessary fear, anger, and guilt. You can let go easily when you're strong, by the way, and you have no fear. Okay, strength to transcend duality. But you're too aware not to know who you really are. You're too happy to permit presence of trouble. Too joyful. Inner quiet joy. And by the way, you're too loved for real emotional pain. If you know that you're loved unconditionally, does that make a difference, RA? I designed it from international and other, books and more than 30 years of experience. But of course, there are some common things with other light workers all over the world. But I personally designed it, yeah. Okay. So I was saying you're too loved for real emotional pain. Yeah, Carrie, you can come and do a retreat with me here in Lebanon and we'll take care of that. I do that all the time. Or we can go to Peru together. Okay, so just remember that you're unconditionally loved. Just like an innocent baby is loved by a loving mother. No matter what you did, God does not judge. Okay, you are a particle of God anyway, but my point is, no matter what you did in your life, no matter what, I'm serious, no matter what, you are unconditionally loved. I'll use a نسخ. يس منيرة، عندي واحدة بلبنان بس اجي على ابو ظبي بعطيك اياها، بعطيك الكتاب. Okay. So Carrie, what are you saying? Instead of a retreat, where to go for a complete detox and mindfulness? You want to go to India? Well, you know, I've never been to India. I'd like to, but you know, I don't know if they do ayahuasca over there. You know, you don't have to do ayahuasca or medicine plants. I'm sure they're in every country. No, you don't have to do shamanism. You know, you can do a detox and you can do breath work with me for a week. And believe me, after that, you're going to be detoxed mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically.
Mark, I want to ask about juicing. Juicing have a detoxing effect, right? Like elevating energy.
Elevating energy? You mean if you go to a higher frequency, will it be detoxing? Yeah, it's detoxing energetically and spiritually, you know, and mentally, and maybe emotionally, but not physically.
Juicing have that effect of elevating energy.
Well, like I said, they're all interrelated. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, they're all interrelated. So if you're detoxing emotionally and you're also detoxing spiritually, it's going to affect your physical body, of course. But what I meant is you need to also eat the right foods and, you know, maybe do a fasting, you know, or an intermittent fasting. There's so many things. I can't do everything in 1 hour, that's for sure, but I want to, but I cannot do everything. Do you recommend any techniques for breathing? Can we get ayahuasca in Dubai? No, don't do it in Dubai. Don't do it in Dubai, trust me. In Lebanon, yeah, we do it. Okay. So, yeah, you know, in certain countries it's illegal. In Peru, even in Peru, it's illegal, believe it or not, but it's tolerated. So, you know, we'll talk about the retreats when it comes to plant medicine some other time. But yes, it's feasible, but not in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, no way. Don't even try. Anna Maria, very soon, very soon. Keep in touch. Yeah, Wim Hof is great. I use some of his techniques, Faye, and it's great. I love Wim Hof. His techniques are fantastic. I do that in Peru as well with the sacred plant medicine. I have a whole process, plant medicine, and then breath work, you know, and then, you know, other stuff, Vinca, and we'll talk about it. But let me finish here. So I'm almost done. So I was saying you're unconditionally loved. Remember that. And once you know you're unconditionally loved and you feel it all the time, then you change. You transform into somebody that's loving and noble and humble. But the key is to feel that love and know that you're unconditionally loved no matter what. All right? Now, that we need to condition with most people for them to realize who they are and to understand at an emotional and spiritual level that they're loved unconditionally. So that's part of that course, living from the heart. And the present moment process is another course. And, you know, the present moment process, you don't want to be in the egoic mind thinking about the past, the future, or left and right about stories about other people. And there's this story about a great king. An old king dies, you know, in a kingdom far, far away. And his son, a very young man, takes the throne, but he's ignorant and has no experience in ruling a kingdom. So he says to his advisors, please, advisors, go and bring me all the wisdom and knowledge in the world. I need to rule my kingdom. I don't know how. I'm ignorant. I have no experience. So they go, those 3 advisors, and years pass by and they come back with thousands and thousands of books. And the young king, yeah, and the young king, you know, is now becoming old, and they bring those books. And he says, "What are you doing? I can't read all those thousands and thousands of books. Go, be gone, and do a summary and bring me back something I can use now." So they go, and years pass by, and they come back with hundreds of books. And now the king is getting old, and he's getting sickly. And the king says, "What are you doing? I can't read these 100 books. How can I learn this and apply this? So go, be gone now, bring me something, give me a summary, like something I can use now." So they go years and years, and they come back. Now the young king is old and he's sick. And he says, "Too late now, I can't do this." And he's on his dying bed, and now the two advisors of the three have died, and the one advisor that's still alive is looking at him, and he's on his bed, the king dying, and says, "Please, before I die, tell me, what is the secret of wisdom? What is the secret of knowledge? What is it? Whisper, tell me in my ear, please." So the advisor comes and says, "My king, live the present moment. Kif anif," like they say in Arabic. Now, that's another course all by itself. Presence. Deep stuff. No one loves us unconditionally besides our parents. What about God? What about your guides? What about the loving spirits? What about the Pleiadians? All right, Faye? Faye, take the course of shamanism and you'll connect with the spirits, you'll connect with God, and then you'll know that you're unconditionally loved. And by the way, not even your parents love you unconditionally. Mine don't, okay? You can't depend on human beings too much, okay? Love your inner child. You are the only one that can love yourself. So this is a deep discussion, but no one loves us. Okay, animals and plants love us unconditionally. Not even. Mother Earth for sure. Goddess for sure. Your guides, your spirit guides, your guardian angel, your principal power animal for sure. That's why I'm talking about this, Rula. Faye, you are loved unconditionally, whether you know it or not. Not by your parents only. All right, guys. Any questions before we leave? We have 2 minutes.
Yes, can I ask something, please?
Please.
I was going to ask about the point of emotions. When you said we need to let go of anger, I don't know, you said jealousy or something like that.
Fear, anger, guilt, stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom, frustration, depression.
Okay, so a lot of teachers talk about this, but these emotions, we must experience them. We cannot avoid them because we're humans, and I think it's a part of life.
Definitely.
So teachers don't really teach how can we process them before we let go. I mean, I cannot forgive before I feel like I claimed my rights and I'm in a position of power, and then I forgive. If I forgive when I'm
That's
feeling
you. Some people forgive a lot easier than that, okay? And again, you need to actually, it's not about feeling good. It's about getting good at feeling those emotions so you can change that relationship with the emotion. So when I say let go, if you need fear once in a while, then I said let go of unnecessary fear, anger, and guilt. Some people feel that fear is unnecessary. Some people say, no, this fear was necessary or this anger was necessary. Okay, if a lion's gonna jump on you and eat you, yeah, you better get away and be fearful. But if your stepmother is coming to have dinner with you, you shouldn't be shaking in your boots, right? I'm talking about unbalanced fear, anger, guilt, stress, sadness, loneliness, and boredom. Okay, so I know from it takes practice and time. Of course it does, Faye, of course. What I am saying though is that if you want to be present and unperturbable, then you need to let go or transform, if you want to use a better word, the fear, anger, guilt, and stress, and all those, primary emotions and secondary and tertiary emotions. You want to transform them into love, basically into love. Now it's feasible. Once you get over the death of dying, thank you, Valentina. Once you get over the death of dying, my friends, you're going to embrace death and life. Death is nothing. We're scared shitless because we're afraid to die. Death is nothing. I had a death wish all my life. I couldn't die. I wanted to die. You know, my point is death is nothing, but you don't know that if you haven't lived a death and rebirth. I'm not new in this game. I've been doing this for a long time because I would have, again, I tried to die when I was younger, but I couldn't. But, you know, I was so angry when I was a kid that, you know, I didn't know what happiness or peace meant. And now it's the opposite. So that's my responsibility, to share it with you. Yeah, I do offer breathwork courses, Faye, and I think you're going to like them a lot. And I do certify you. And check out my website because there's a business opportunity as well. Death is peace. Death is actually love, not even peace. Not even peace. Death is love. You're going to bathe in the love of God once you die. Now, don't go all and commit suicide at once. You know, take it easy. We got a mission to do here. All right. God bless, guys. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate having the privilege to talk to you. God bless and talk to you soon. Keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Marc. Bless you. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Bless you too. Bye-bye now.